suppose that time of the week where we get into some Q&A, guys. Welcome back to the channel. We're going to be going through all your questions for the week. There's a lot of them. We'll see what we can do here, hey? So, question here from Luke. Got a bit of an issue. He says ranked 400, so looking pretty good in that sense. But centre pairing of Rapana, Peachy, also brought in Sini the other week. So having them three out and has Bird as well. So the question is it smart to try and look at someone like Talau and bring him into the side, or is it probably more important to just hold the trades and play with 16 this week? You know, if you're looking at centers, if you're bringing in a gun center, he already has 3, right? So in this case, I think it's just smartest to hold trades and not bother bringing in a center. You've already got Sini. You've tried that experiment. It hasn't worked. So my suggestion is to hold steady with those trades and not bring that in. That's my opinion on that one. I'd say hold the 16 there would be best. Another question, thoughts on Farmasili. I spoke about him in the previous video. I don't think he will get big enough minutes / he could be dropped out of the team really quickly. So I don't think he's a solid option. Won't make a lot of cash, I wouldn't think. But yeah. Tim's asked, is Peachy a hold or a trade? Peachy's a hold if you're playing overall, especially. Well, I think he's in head-to-head too. You miss 2 weeks, you get him back for 13. You go from there. Thoughts and trades. Adam Elliott to Crichton and Pap to Turbo. So obviously banking a little bit there. 18 trades left. So Elliott, I think, is very much a trade. I imagine you're using that money to get Crichton and then going Pap to Turbo. With 18 trades left, I'd probably hold off and try and just trade Elliott straight up to one of the guns in that sort of 700k-ish mark. Obviously, with Elliott going down so much, if you can do that, great. But with 18 trades, I'd probably try and hold off on getting rid of Pap. Matt Damon asks, one trade this week, getting Fulmano out and need to play whoever I bring in as a replacement. Okay, for Peachy in the mid or edge spot. So who's the best to bring in with 425k to spend? Again, spoke about this a little bit in the previous video, but he's got Flegler, Farmasili, Bromwich, okay, Firma or other. I think Flegler's your one if you're going to pick someone out of that. That'd be your smartest. Just based on he's probably got a more chance of making plenty of cash. He plays in round 13. Probably something to think about there. Hey, Jamie, what guns would you consider bringing in this week? Many have high BEs like Mane and Papali'i, so would you just wait a couple of weeks before getting them? Yeah, I think that's a decent suggestion. If we look at the top price guys here, you're looking at a bunch that are coming off a lower week. So Payne Haas, Papali'i, Hughes is probably one of the other ones that you can think about grabbing in right this second. Mane has a chance he plays Origin / he's going down in price a slight amount. Moses is someone I'd still be targeting. Then you've got someone like Pangai, but I'd be slightly worried about him after that score on the weekend. Yes, they won't play as bad, but he could be someone that's a very easily a suspension target or something like that. So that's my thoughts on the guns. There's not a lot really to target. It might be if you can this week and you can consider holding trades. Like my team is a chance of holding trades here. I think that could be your smartest option going forward. But again, it's completely your choice. If there's a bunch of guys you really like, and you'd want them to be in your side as a gun going forward, then great. I've got a question here on YouTube. Edwards a good pod? ? And Bird's still a decent option as a gun center. Yeah, both really good options. I think Edwards could be that sort of lower level keeper in your wing fullbacks there, averaging just over 50 kind of is the mark we're looking at. If you've got someone like Roger, I wouldn't be trading him out for an Edwards, but and Laurie, I'd probably wait until like around 14, for example. But that's Edwards is someone to bring in. And Bird, Bird's still a great option. If you need a center, I wouldn't. Again, similar to that first question, if you have a few gun centers already, I wouldn't be bothering. But if you need to trade an injury, a Momorowski or something to him, I'd suggest to do that for sure. Ashton asks, Pap to Man, Maguire to AM9 or Latrell. Which one do you think of these? No good. What else could I do? Maguire's a trade out, but I don't imagine you have a lot of cash left over to go right up to a gun, and that's the issue with these bringing in these mid-range type of players. If you can go Maguire, so what's he priced at? He's only in the 500 odds, isn't he? 600 odd. I better find him. 624. So if you have some cash in the bank, you can go up to someone like Kurt Mann, for example. You can go to Coruscant as a slightly interesting option. Luke Thompson's there. Barnett, I'd be trying to hold off on. Who else we got? McCulloch's there, but Fisher Harris is 693. If you've got that type of cash in the bank, then you can do that. I'm a bit worried about trading out Pap at this point, especially if you don't have a lot of trades. If you have multiple trades available, like I'm thinking over 20, 22 kind of thing, then you could probably make that one and still do okay. But if you don't, then it's a slight issue. Yeah, someone said this sin bin rule is making me not want to play fantasy this year. Probably means you have a lot of players that are a part of that, unfortunately. But should I go Hampton and Simpkin to Hines and Teddy, or Hampton Stefano to Edwards and CHN? Hines and Teddy sounds pretty good if you can do that. I think you just lock that one in. All right, let's have a bit of a scroll. What else we got here? Ones I haven't answered would be smart. Thoughts on Laurie to Edwards? I think it's a couple of weeks too early. If you're playing overall, I think you just got to hold Laurie. I think Pappy out for a while. I'm thinking of doing Remus and Pappy to Cleary and Talau. Remus, really? Remus has been scoring well. I don't think it's a solid option. What are some of the comments? What's the rank? Yeah, if you don't, what Owen said, if you don't have Cleary, it's probably going to hurt you a little bit. But yeah, trading Remus out who's scoring pretty well in the fullback / centre for someone like Talau who hasn't been doing that well, you're bringing in a guy that's going to end up being a red dot. He might make a tiny bit of cash, but he hasn't been scoring very well. Cleary, and it's a tough one. It's a tough one. Really hard to answer that one, to be fair, without knowing how many trades. Thoughts on Chris Smith from the Bulldogs and Starling from Raiders. Let's talk about Starling while we're here. I mentioned him in the team list video, but someone I think is going to score really well and should be able to keep this 80-minute spot in the Raiders side with Hodgson having some issues with dropping the captaincy, whatever else. He's not getting the minutes. He's been out a few weeks, injury. He's out again this week. So Starling's should continue to play 80 minutes. And if he does, he's going to end up being a keeper. And it's like, well, he's only going to miss one game over the next, 15. Is it worth getting someone at this price who could end up about 700k and scoring really well? I think it probably is. Braden Goss asked, is Walsh and Hines good buys? Yeah, especially for head-to-head for Walsh, he's probably your slightly better option this week. Yes, he won't play 13, so that's something to think about. If you haven't got a lot of players in 13 and don't have to worry about it, then you can pick him up, which is good. Hines, spoken about him in depth in that previous video, but I think for him, it is a guy that you're going to get for good scores when he starts, some average scores on the interchange. So it's like, is he going to make a lot of money? He probably will over the next 3 weeks, but after that, he's going to be in and out the side. Will they rest players? All that kind of stuff. So he's someone that you're going to have to trade out eventually, but he could get you some really good scores, and it could be really worth the punt over the next few weeks. So that's that. I need a centre for Peachy. Who should I get? We spoke about Bird, Farnworth. We also got Opacek's a decent one. They're kind of the top bunch there. We spoke about Harper as well, these kind of guys. Do you think trading out for Feeder and Fulmano to bring in Moses and Luke Thompson or Fisher Harris is a good trade? It's actually pretty solid, to be fair. If you have a lot of trades left, I'd suggest you can do that because you're bringing in 2 keepers in like a Moses and Fisher Harris or Thompson. I'm completely fine with that. If you don't have many trades, I'd probably suggest against it. But yeah, let's start there. You think Sam Walker and Simpkins for Marnie and Bloor are good trades? I think you're bringing in Bloor a bit too early is my call, Levi. Sam Walker's probably getting traded out a little bit early too. Simpkin can go, but Marnie, he's got a little bit more cash to lose with a high break even, so you can do that. Thoughts on bringing in Nofaluma? If not, who would be the next center wing to bring in other than To'o and Saab? Nofaluma. There's a bunch of guys that slightly cheaper mark at the moment, the Brimson, Edwards, those kind of guys I'd be targeting. And then you've got Nofaluma there as a solid option, but again, a winger that's up and down with the Tigers not doing too well. Best option for a winger to replace Pap. Well, you got your top guys, obviously. Oops, now I've lost this. All right, so let's go top wing fullbacks to replace him. All right, what do we got here? So top guys. This is literally how we do it, guys. We just scroll through and have a look. To'o, if you're not worried about him playing Origin, you've got Trbojevic there. Pong is out for another week. Gutho might play Origin as well. Other than that, guys, it's the Edwards and Edwards and Brimson. Teddy, you could wait a couple of weeks, wait till 14 when he's back playing after Origin, for example. Other than that, not a lot of really good options in terms of keepers. So keep that in mind. With that one there, we'll go through a couple more. Head-to-head player, would you move on McCulloch, Alvaro, Pap? Pap, I'm holding. McCulloch, I think you got to just keep holding. You might lose a bit of cash over the next few weeks, but a lot of people will be targeting him in 13 if he gets back to that 80 minutes, so keep that in mind. Alvaro, yeah, you can move him on for sure. You don't need him. Trade this week a Munster for Teddy and McCulloch for either Haas or Papali'i or another forward. Do you think these trades are worth making? Munster, you probably can. Probably would have done these last week though, like Munster anyway. McCulloch, I think, is definitely a hold. I don't see the rush in getting rid of him. RTS to Teddy, then Ricky to Radley. I think they're pretty silly trades for strictly 32 there. RTS is definitely a hold this week. Teddy, he's coming off one massive game after a bunch of little ones, so he might go back to a 30 or 40 point score again. I'd be waiting until 14 after that, after his bye or his origin efforts in round 13. Who would you swap Alvaro out for head to head? Go up to one of these guns or trade to one of the cheapies I talked about in the video before, but again, not a lot of really good options there. Is Macca worth bringing in now? Maguire and Fulvio both suspended for quite a long time. Yeah, well, I suppose the thoughts there are that that Macca will go back to 80 minutes with no Maguire to spell him at 9 there. They've got a couple of they've got Jackson Ford, they've got Fulmariano. There's a lot of guys that aren't probably going to play the full 80. So in comparison to Maguire was playing close to that 80-minute mark, McCulloch should get back to 80. So you could probably bring him in, but you can also wait a week or two and see how it plays out. Yeah, but that's the question with with Harry Green. Is he going to be ready for Origin 1? If he's not, then Mane would get picked, and I agree with that for sure. So that's something to think about if you're bringing in Reed this week. Probably all I wanted to talk about, guys. I think I will say this. We've got Charlie Smith in here. Hey, Jamie, I'm now ranked 13th overall. Couldn't have done it without you, lad. Keep up the great content. That's pretty cool. 13th overall. I wish I could get to that. I got 50th one year. So yeah, Luke Thompson I think is a great option as well. Someone's asked me that question. Did have 5 missed tackles and got 56 points. So the big minutes is the key with him. Trade Walker for Benji Marshall. No thanks. All right, we're going to finish it on that one, guys. I hope you enjoyed this Q&A. Hope you got a lot out of it, and any of your questions had been answered. Please check the trades video, the cash cows. Obviously, the bunch of the guns this week. There's a lot of them out, which is annoying. But just base everything on how many trades you got left. Try and hold as many as you can, and try not to trade over this next week or two, and probably go ham in like round 13 would be my suggestion. But there you go, guys. Hope that helped, and we'll catch you in the next one. Have a good one.